You are listening to Rouge Radio, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
It's time to get the point as Rouge Radio is ready to kick off.
Ready!
The best football talk with the best in the business.
So what is the cost? You have 2 first-round picks this year because the Argos were dumb enough to trade for Drew Willie.
A few rookies.
We go directly to the on-field product. We welcome to the show the 20th overall pick in this past Sunday's CFL draft, DeAndre Wright of the Alouettes. DeAndre, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
And the occasional Hall of Famer.
Please welcome Doug Brown, who is one of the members of the current class of 2016 in the CFL Hall of Fame. Doug, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thank you guys for the kind words and for having me on the program.
Rouge Radio is on the air. Here's your hosts, Robert Dalton and Tony Allen.
We are back for another edition of the Rouge Radio Podcast, powered by the Canadian Football Podcast Network. My name is Robert Dalton, and joining me, as always, Mr. Tony Allen. This is episode 550, and Tony seemed to have slipped.
The whole facade is over.
Yeah. Well, do a lot of people actually watch this? Anyway, no. We'll talk more about that. This podcast is sponsored by the good people of Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com, enter the promo code Rouge. Tell them that the boys from Rouge Radio sent you by entering the promo code Rouge. You get 20% off your order plus free worldwide shipping. Go to manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you. And not a day goes by that every time I say that, I feel at my age, at 46, it feels a little bit cringy. Tony, before we get into your status quo of your camera there, which seems to be giving you some issues, I just had a little nostalgia. I had a little bit of a nostalgia because episode 550, which makes me remember 450. Do you remember what was supposed to happen in episode 450?
Oh, Kevin Glenn?
Kevin Glenn, yes. And wouldn't you know
Glenn.
We are continuing our 9 teams in 9 weeks by previewing Kevin Glenn's, I guess, his second favorite team, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Now that we've got the camera all set, it looks like. It's been a week.
Horrible angle. Just a horrible, disgusting angle of myself.
Next thing you're just gonna where is this gonna be for your Instagram feed?
I don't know.
You're gonna have to get the filters, the angle.
I hate this constant reminder of how much I've aged and how horribly I've aged.
I can't do this podcast. I need a better. We need a better room or better lighting, because right now I need my glasses right now, but I can't have my glasses because the lighting actually reflects everything that I'm looking at onto me, right? And it doesn't look good. I think we're deep down inside. We're pretty boys.
Yeah,
and we need.
I think it just became an old man yells at clouds podcast. Have old man yells at cloud podcast.
And there we go with the title of this week's podcast. Speaking of old men, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are the highlight of this week's show. Before we get into our normal predictions, we did reach out to Derek Taylor. Derek Taylor had agreed to come onto the show, but he was actually scheduled at an event at the same time as us recording. So once again, back-to-back weeks where we had a guest lined up and they chose life over coming over on this podcast, in case you're wondering about the legitimacy of this podcast. I don't know. Some big news since we last we last recorded. Taylor Elgersma, and this is perfect timing because we are focusing on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Taylor Elgersma, Heck Crichton winner and second round pick of the 2025 CFL draft of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, had a stint with the Green Bay Packers, was drafted by the Birmingham Stallions of the UFL, couldn't get his work visa going there, and has now signed a 3-year deal with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. My question before we get into, obviously, does this change your position of what you thought about the Bombers? Because it's not that we didn't think that he had potential. But what we said is that when we were talking about our free agency grades, I think I remember that we said that Winnipeg needed to address their backup quarterback position. Strevler gone, and let's be honest, Strevler wasn't exactly lighting it up. He got the W's, which for some reason it just escapes my mind how he was able to do that. But he got the W's. Now with him gone, you have like 2 games worth of experience behind him with Terry Wilson and Bryce Perkins and Taylor Thorne. I think it doesn't matter. I don't think Thorne is going to be Peyton Thorne from college. Doesn't matter. I don't think that he's going to be lasting that much in the through training camp. Taylor Elgersma, he's got somewhat professional experience now with the Green Bay Packers and a Heck Creighton winner. Again, this goes back down. Does this change your outlook for Winnipeg now that they have addressed potentially their backup quarterback position?
Yeah, without actually knowing what this guy's going to be like, but obviously a lot of people liked him. It just kind of didn't work out for him in a work perspective. It seems to be almost exactly what the doctor ordered for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, just not knowing how much tread is left on that. Zach Collaros. I mean, if anything, we might see more of him this season than we anticipated, depending on how the season goes or what Zach Collaros, if he can make it through a whole season.
Talk about identical paths. When, it's not a foregone conclusion, but I think the writing's on the wall. This might be Zach Collaros' last year. We go back to when Nathan Rourke was drafted into the CFL. He played backup to inevitable Hall of Famer Michael Riley. Michael Riley retired after that year, and then Nathan Rourke took over. And he never looked back, aside from his stint, his year and a half in the NFL. Now BC is in a potential great position to be in, to build around that, plus the young core that they have in their offense. If Winnipeg plays it right, they could be in a similar and better position, given the fact that they've had experience at the championship level, depending on how they can work it out right now. Obviously, there's some of that core in the late 2010s, early 2020s, that probably won't be playing in a couple of years, but you're going to still have that pedigree of being around that championship pedigree that is in that locker room. But it is going to be, if we're going to go down that identical path, then that actually leads me to believe that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers might be missing the playoffs this year. And that might be a bold prediction because BC was absolute horrible that year in 2021. And that was, I think they might have even dove into free agency again that year. I know they did it in 2019, the year before COVID, but I know I'm just getting off topic before we get into the meat and potatoes of the podcast. Any thoughts on that? Do you see any identical path from Taylor Elgersma to Nathan Rourke from what you remember thinking about him going into the 2021-2022 season?
I'm going to say no because, we didn't know Nathan Rourke and we don't really know this guy yet, and both highly touted, but I can't. This guy's going to come in and absolutely dazzle like Nathan Rourke. So right up to the point where I can agree that it's similar, that young Canadian quarterback, don't know a lot about him, the aging incumbent, possibly on his way out. That's about where the similarities end, because who knows? The odds of him mimicking what Nathan did for the rest of that year that allowed Michael Riley to want to retire or know that he can retire, we don't know what this guy's going to be. He hasn't done anything in the Canadian Football League. So the pre-show seems to be so far the same. We both up-and-coming quarterbacks. Maybe we got a little bit more hype behind this one than we did the other one because we kind of know it. But the similarities in young quarterback, aging quarterback, and then it ends there. Then we'll see how the story is written after that.
It definitely changes the trajectory and certain outlook, in my opinion, just because you have that Canadian game experience that you sorely need in the QB room, especially considering that that is the heir apparent, and as is the case, and taken in the same. I think they were taken in the same round too. That could be too. I have to look back because I know Nathan Rourke was taken in a. There's a trade tree somewhere. The oh man, what was it? The Nick Arbuckle trade that sent Calgary or sent Nick Arbuckle to Ottawa for a draft pick, which was flipped over to BC in a draft day trade. That one of those picks. So yeah, there's a trade tree somewhere out there where Nathan Rourke does not play in BC if Nick Arbuckle does not get traded to Ottawa. So BC Lion fans, thank Calgary Stampeders once again for allowing Nathan Rourke to persevere in BC.
Although I'm sure there's a lot of people that wouldn't be very happy of Winnipeg Blue Bombers after dominating for 5 years, get into quarterback problems, and then suddenly have all their quarterback problems cured 2 years later and are back on top of the West. As the regular football fan, maybe a football fan in the East would love to see, the media would love to see, two Canadian quarterbacks battling for the Western title, but I'm not sure there's a lot of fans out there that are too eager to see Bomber have their quarterback's problems solved in a swift maneuver like that.
I remember. I was like Jake Mayer's first game in Calgary, his first start. I think it was against Montreal. And I can't remember if they won that game. I think they did, but
they did. I think it was a comeback. I think he orchestrated a bit of a comeback that started the legend of Jake Mayer that never was.
that lasted a week. But I remember it's like thinking, oh, Calgary's finally going to, they're going through their regression after countless quarterbacks like Doug Flutie, Dave Dickinson, Henry Burris. I'm trying to think of who played after Henry. Kevin Glenn, Drew Tate, Bo Levi Mitchell, and then all of a sudden, Jake Mayer. Right, just like kept, and then all of a sudden that first game, we're like, God, you gotta be freaking kidding me. And then the week after, they're like, there we go. That's the Stampeders I've been waiting for. But yeah, this has like everything, like the chemistry of all this seems to be like that. But I you know what? Here's what, and you mentioned that the media. Do not tray forward this situation. If he does not work out in the first year, guess what? It's not expecting to work out in the first year. I swear to God, what was it? Taylor Cornelius. I remember Glenn Suter on the game. He said Taylor Cornelius is in year 3. That's the year that you should see proper development. But if it's a Canadian quarterback, God, that development should be like right away. We got to see that instantaneous succession right off the bat because the CFL, the Canadian Football League, needs Canadian quarterbacks. Well, guess what? You've got 3 of them in the CFL right now. 1 are starting, 1 is a bona fide backup, and 1 is an up-and-comer right now. And if we just let it progress as we should, and if Saskatchewan manages to sway Curtis Rourke north of the border, the Canadian media is going to, that little gif of the South Park dad in front of the computer, that is going to be the Canadian media. I guarantee it. Any thoughts before we go to predicting?
No, I think that's a good topic. Good coverage.
Right now, I think that's probably going to be the one and only thing people are going to take away is that South Park gif or that picture.
I was going to tell a story, but I think with that South Park picture, this would just make my story even more disturbing for this podcast.
Now you have to. Now you have to.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the reason why my camera went off is I had to go check my phone because I was getting a notification involving my diabetes, and I wanted to make sure it wasn't a low level. And it wasn't, so I'm not going to pass out during the show, but I have to turn my camera off because I'm not wearing pants.
Oh, okay.
I'm just in my hotel room, chilling out.
Oh, have we done the Where's Tony? Have we done the Where's Tony? Where are we?
That's weird. Yeah, I'm in a hotel room in Red Deer, and I'm comfortable. I want to be comfortable, and then I just remembered I did not put pants on once I was getting ready. So
all of a sudden, people are watching this and be like,
nobody wants to see that.
You get a knock on the door, and you get like the Law and Order Special Victims unit.
Yeah.
All right, let's. The mental image of people who are not watching this is going through the roof. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers finished 4th in the West last year, 10-8, 459 points for, 424 points against, 7-2 at home, which means that they were 3-6 on the road. Gone are James Vaughters, Demario Houston, as well as receivers Carrick Wheatfall, Jarrett Stearns, and Dalton Schoen, and of course the legend of Chris Streveler. In is with the aforementioned Taylor Elgersma, Jarrell Broxton, and Tommy Neild, Tim White, and Jake Serezna from the Edmonton Elks. I feel that we've pretty much covered this because every time that we cover a team, we go into detail about the next week. And I know that we covered a lot of this with Winnipeg being, in my opinion, the wild card team. Like this team really is going to be the reason why other teams are going to make the playoffs or miss the playoffs. And in Edmonton's case, for the 6th straight year, right? I mean, that's to me is going to be the difference right now, how this team operates. Your thoughts and predictions here.
Yeah, I think, and I kind of alluded to it. Was it last week's show where I said it sounds weird, but it's like I feel like BC can make the playoffs, Calgary can make the playoffs, but it's going to be dependent on what kind of Winnipeg Blue Bombers team we see. But since that show, we've had the emergence of this young quarterback. How much of a factor is he even going to play? Maybe he won't. Maybe Collaros plays every game. Maybe Collaros gets hurt and they go a different route for the backup quarterback. We don't know what's going to happen. So again, they're still a wild card for me as well. Just the big thing again, what kind of Zach Collaros are we going to have? Like, there's no way we can have 3 downward Collaros seasons and then the reemergence of Zach Collaros. But I mean, I suppose we've seen it with Cody Fajardo, so why couldn't it be Zach Collaros too, right? But another thing I think is going to be big for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers is we've pretty much all figured out Brady Oliveira. We know he's amazing. We know he's probably the best at what he does at that position. And I think with whatever they do at Zach Collaros, whatever they bring at quarterback, I think it's weird how it felt like Oliveira didn't have a great season last year, or he didn't talk about him enough, but he still put together an amazing season.
He missed 4 games.
Winnipeg Blue Bombers,
and he missed 4 games doing it.
It feels like he didn't. Pardon?
Yeah, he missed 4 games last year.
I know, and it's like it's so weird because like I don't remember him having a great. But you look at his numbers, like he had another great season, just shadowed by an underachieving Winnipeg Blue Bombers team. But the problem is, teams have figured out if we shut down Brady Oliveira, we're going to shut down the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So for me, the big thing is, can Zach Collaros find weapons? Have they added weapons? Does he have other weapons to use so that way they can sneak Oliveira in when they need him the most, or when they can have him pound the ball down defenses' throats when they need to kill that clock? Or can they give him enough points where you can put him in, where he's most effective. So if the Bombers can figure out how to get teams to not focus on him, put their attention somewhere else away when it's time to go to Oliveira all quarter, other teams are not going to be ready for it, because I think that's how you beat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in 2026. So we'll see what the Bombers have in store to fix that problem. Players come and go. I mean, we could nitpick players here and there, but I think the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, again, they're going to decide other teams' fates by what team is going to show up this season. I have them, with them being such an unknown with me, I have them at best a 500 club this season, but I think it still might be enough to get them in the playoffs.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are looking at last year's, not only their squad, but their coaching staff as an addition by subtraction. You're not having a rookie offensive coordinator in Jason Hogan there, although he's still with the team. You brought in an experienced Tommy Condell. I think that is enough to rejuvenate this championship-esque type roster. But then you also have to realize that if you look at Tommy Condell's work with running backs over the last 5 or 6 seasons, as a running back, he's been his use of a running back has been pretty freaking consistent. It's a poster boy of consistency. But you transpose those numbers over to Brady Oliveira, Brady's numbers would probably come down a little bit. Right? And that's something that we need to take into consideration. Now, you can all have the talk of, okay, well, damn right, we're going to have to, get engaged and marry the idea of running the ball a little bit more, which is music to the ears of Bomber fans. Because one of their big things is that in the first half, they would just hand it off to Brady as much as possible. They'd have success with it, and then they just go away from it. And what was the one thing that we have known for Bombers, for these Bombers teams, is that even if the Bombers had like a 3-point lead, 4-point lead, hell, even a 1-point lead, if it was in the final 10 minutes, the Bombers were handing off to Brady, and they were doing it successfully. Last year, they were up by 7-8. They'd be back up, Collaros would be back to pass. And most of the time it would be 3 to 4 yard passes, and that wasn't going to get it done. And I think that needs to be a little bit smarter as far as the offense, right? So I like the moves that they did. They filled the holes that they needed. They obviously are not ever going to be able to replace guys like Kenny Lawler and Adam Bigheel, but I also think that you don't need to, but you do need to get better production from your receiving corps. Tim White does that. Tommy Neal is a Canadian receiver that they failed to replace in Drew Wolatarski the year before that. And Ontario Wilson being back for a full season does give the Bombers a legitimately three-headed monster in the receiving corps in Tim White, Nick Dembski, and Ontario Wilson. Defensive side, I wanted to see them go after a huge defensive lineman, and they did that in Jake Ceresna. They did not get to the quarterback that often. In 2024, I don't have the stats, but it seemed like they weren't blitzing enough, but it was okay because they had an awesome secondary. They lost some key components of that, and the numbers show for themselves. Not getting to the quarterback, it proved to be their major downfall in certain aspects of the season last year. Jake Ceresna does that. They got Javan Santos-Knox, Tony Jones, another full year in Bomber uniform, and they regrouped that. They reformed that secondary. It looks like it's going to be formidable. Elijah McGee coming over from Ottawa, Jonathan Moxey coming over from Hamilton, and of course you got all-star Dietrich Nichols and Evan Holm, as well as sophomore safety Cam Allen. We're looking forward to seeing what this defense can do, but it does boil down to the offense. Long story short, I'm with you. I do think that they probably have a 10-8 record in them, and it's probably going to come down to the final weeks as opposed to them resting a few players, and they're going to earn those last two W's that they're going to get. So 10-8 record for me that I'm predicting for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and I think that might be good enough for third place.
And they go on to win the Grey Cup.
Did you?
And they will win the Grey Cup with a 10-8 record.
and then everybody from the East is like, one division. I put down a little minor bet, the Bombers to win the Grey Cup. I forget what the odds were. It was just a very conservative bet. I laid it down earlier today. A $2 bet. If they win the Grey Cup, it returns a winnings of $14.
Hey.
So
big spender.
That'll do it for episode 550. We are partnered with the good people over at Sports Interaction. Go to SIA.com/Rouge. Your first deposit will be matched up to 100%. And of course, as always, Tony and I, please play and gamble responsibly. Tony, any final thoughts before we head out?
Yes. If the Canadian Football Hall... Well, there goes my camera again.
At least it went upwards.
The Canadian Football League, the Canadian Football League's Hall of Fame inducted players the same way Major League Baseball inducted players, where you go in wearing a specific team's baseball cap. What cap would Adam Bighill wear going in to the Canadian Football League Hall of Fame? A BC Lions hat or a Winnipeg Blue Bombers hat?
Well, he's retiring as a Bomber, so I mean that to me says that he would have a Bomber cap. But I didn't know that he played more games as a BC Lion. Like, I think it's not like a significant amount, but it's still more.
Mm-hmm.
You still have a championship ring as a member of the BC Lion. He was on that 2011 team, right?
The Calgary Stampeders, I guess, too.
Yeah. Well, nobody's. Yeah, no, we're that's way off base. But yeah, I completely forgot. Like, it just went over because he came in to Winnipeg in 2018. They had that success in 2019, 2021, even 23, 24, 22, 23, and 24. Even not bringing home the Grey Cup, still a lot of success there.
Mm-hmm.
So I you look at this team's success in BC. Yeah, he won the Grey Cup in 2011. I can't remember, when did he go to? It was like 2015, 2016 is when he left for the NFL. You look at his time, before that. It really wasn't. I mean, they made the playoffs. Didn't have a lot of success. They, Calgary was going through their dominance during the 2010s, and so it just seemed like nothing BC can do. Whereas Adam Bighill, as a member of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, had that dominance. Right? He wasn't the only guy, definitely, but he was the core, like one of the main reasons why Winnipeg had that five seasons of dominance almost. So I mean,
I think personally he would be the Bombers. Mm-hmm. I think you might, and I think because he signed that one-day contract to retire a Bomber, people are saying obviously he loved being a Bomber, but I mean, realistically, he was most recently a Bomber, right? He's not really a Calgary Stampede. He's most recently a Bomber. But if the dust settles and you have a year or two waiting for eligibility, and you've got time to think, it would be interesting to know. I think at the end of the day, he would say Winnipeg as well. But I mean, if you can get the honest truth out of him, if you had time to reflect and have maybe a bigger debate, it would be interesting conversation to have. But I don't think either answer is the wrong one. I just think Bombers is probably more right.
Mm-hmm. It's like Kevin Glenn, right? He had his most success as probably as a Winnipeg Blue Bomber, like as far as stats. But if you look at Kevin Glenn, Saskatchewan Rough Riders seem to be the most obvious choice, right? Was there 3 times. He was brought into the league as a Saskatchewan Rough Rider, signed as a free agent in 2017, and I think he would have signed there again in 2015 too as well.
I may have opened up a can of worms here for an entire show. What does Henry Burris wear into the Hall of Fame? He turned 4 franchises around. Like, who gets to claim him? Like, forget about Henry Burris picking. Did he want to claim him?
Did he really turn Hamilton around? He got him to the Grey Cup.
He took him there.
He took him there.
Honestly,
he got his ass whipped, but he took him there.
Yeah. But hey, in the last 27 years, who's done better?
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Since the turn of the century, who's gotten more out of the Hamilton Tiger Cats?
I mean, Dane Evans, maybe, but...
God, that's kind of sad to think about if you're a Tiger Cats fan.
Oh, that would be an interesting question.
Just may have sent a few of them out onto the ledge there with that one.
That would be an interesting question to lay out to some of our fans. Who would Henry Burris
enter the Hall of Fame wearing a hat for, or a jersey, if you want to do it that way?
Yeah. Speaking of Hamilton, they are the subject of next week's podcast as we move over from the beast or the best of the West, from before last year, to the beast of the East, the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Can Bo Levi do what he did last year and then some? We'll find out more as we get into next week. Tony, did you have your final thoughts, or are we done for the time?
No, the big hill one was mine.
All right, perfect. For Tony, I'm Daltz. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. All right.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.